Today on the Extreme Channel, we have Prime One Studios Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex exclusive. That's right, this is the exclusive. It comes with the additional goat.
Where's the goat?
You sick son of a... Mr. X here with another Extreme Collectible review coming at you. This is Prime One Studios Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park movie. That's right, that was 27 years ago, believe it or not. I remember seeing this film as a child in the movie theater. It was amazing. It actually brought dinosaurs to life. And this particular piece showcases the most iconic part of the movie. When we first saw the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And not only when we first saw him, but he was unleashed in all terror. And I purchased this because I have a dragon collection at my office, so I plan to do a dinosaur collection next to it. Godzilla, dinosaurs, maybe that King Kong vs. Skullcrawler I always talk about from Prime One Studio. But I was really torn on what direction to go with dinosaurs. So you have a few different options out there. Chronicle Collectibles makes them. Prime One Studios obviously makes them. Iron Studios makes them. One key thing I really wrestled with is the Tyrannosaurus Rex is kind of the king of the dinosaurs. So your Tyrannosaurus Rex piece has to be amazing. Initially, I actually wanted the Prime One Studios Rotunda Rex. This piece right here. I think this looks amazing, and I actually was going to get it on PO. I was going to pull the trigger. I had one reserved, but I decided not to for a few reasons. Reason number one is it's huge. It is actually 1/8 scale compared to this 1/15 scale, so it would essentially be twice the size of this. While that's cool and all, it does limit display options. The price tag is over $2,000 plus shipping. And I have a number of other dinosaur pieces from Prime One Studios on order that are all 1/15 scale, so I'd like everything to be the same size. I may make some exceptions with some of their 1/6 pieces that may pair well with this. Thanks a lot, Carmen. Now, while this isn't the first piece I bought, it is the first piece I got in, and I was really on the fence. I've watched a few video reviews online, and this really didn't speak to me. And kind of as a spoiler, as soon as I unboxed this, I went ahead and ordered the other ones I was on the fence about. So what makes this piece so great? We're going to talk about that in the Extreme Review today. We're going to look at concept, design, paint, sculpt, value, overall aspect. Does this have the X factor? So let's start with concept. Now, when you look at a movie piece, you want to think, is this accurate? Does it tell a story? Is it just cool in general? So what I love about this piece is you see the goat. We'll talk more about that later. This is the exclusive version that comes with the goat, which I didn't think this was an exclusive or bust, but now that I have it, I'm really fond of the goat. So you see a sub base below here, and I like a few of the things they did with it. We're going to look at it closer with paint and sculpt, but there's some fossils and some other things that tie back to it. They have the nameplate of both the movie and the character on the front. You guys know how I feel about nameplates. I'm not a huge fan. We'll get back to that in design. And he just broke out of his paddock. And you can see that they have the tracks for the car. It's all muddy because it was raining during this scene. You actually can see a dinosaur footprint we're going to look at later. And the fence behind him, you actually have a few different display options we're going to look at in design. Whether it's broken or not. There's plants behind him, which we'll talk about more in design as well. And he's kind of a side view. You really can't pose him straight on. And you see him kind of lumbering around, a little bit of a roar. So he's really moving. Maybe he's attacking somebody. Maybe he's following them. Maybe he just got out. And I think this is very accurate to the movie. You know, one thing about this piece, I was really on the fence between this and the 1/10 scale by Chronicle Collectibles that you can do a whole dial. Here's a picture right here. The thing I didn't like about this, I think the paint and sculpt weren't as good, and it just took up so much space, not only being a bigger piece, but almost a 3-part diorama. So I like a lot of the things that they did, and hopefully the tail doesn't whip around and hit me. But I like that the sub-base here tells a little bit different story, that it ties into just dinosaurs in general, it ties into Jurassic Park. I like the fact that they're showing the track, they're showing the footprint, they're showing the dinosaur that he just broke out of the paddock. There's some cool design stuff. Like I said, you can actually change the greenery. You can change the fence itself. I think that was smart. And it really looks like they brought the scene to life. I love that. I think that's a huge, huge props to them. They not only brought the scene to life, but they brought the iconic part of the movie to life. This was the best part of the movie. So I think in concept, I think I have to give them a 5 out of 5. I think it's spot on. It's what I want. As I said, a lot of times I don't like them showing the nameplate or the character name, but I look at this as a museum piece from a movie. It really makes you feel that, hey, this is not necessarily just a statue, but it is an iconic display from the movie. So it captures not only an awesome Tyrannosaurus Rex, but an awesome movie that did a lot of things for cinema that had never been done before. Now, I was really on the fence about the paint, sculpt, and design, and the design blew me away. So let me talk about that first. So let's check out the unboxing and assembly. Standard brown shipper, it was quite long, a lot taller than it was wide, and the weight really isn't too much on this piece. Of course, it did have a very cool art box, kind of its own interpretation of the scene, a little bit of a mix from the scene and the statue. On the inside, as you see here, it's just a number of pieces. During the assembly, in a second, you're going to see that it's actually quite a few, but it's very easy. I don't even know why they included instructions. So he keyed in really easily, which I was a little bit worried about. I saw on a few videos there might be some issues with that. Then these 3 poles that actually go on the back, again, all key in very easy. At first I thought I had them in the incorrect direction. Actually, in fact, I had to reverse the direction they were in. And I did look at some reference material really quick just to make sure that it was right. And these are a little bit lighter right here. So I was kind of surprised at that, and we'll talk a little bit about that during paint and sculpt. And then it essentially has just some wires that you actually put through. And I was worried this would be a little bit cheap, but it actually isn't. And it's fairly easy to do, which is why you get to enjoy watching me in my very worn shirt guiding it through every single hole. So this next part is with the plants. And one of the things we'll talk about in a second here with design is the plants are all universal. So here you're just going to see me sticking it in any hole that I can find. The goat here is a proximity piece. And at first, I didn't like that. I didn't know how well it would pair. I didn't even know if I wanted it or was going to display it with it, but I think it works very nicely. Now, a couple things that I could have done, as you saw when I was putting in these wires, you can actually break the wires off if you want to, so that it looks like he just came out of the paddock. So when I take this to my office, I think I'm going to play with it a little.
That's what she said.
And then try and figure out what is the best look. Now, he's not coming directly out of it, but it would still be kind of neat. Also, as I explained in the unboxing, these leaves in the back, you can put them in any way you want, and I think that was a very smart and genius move by Prime One Studios. Not only for the easy assembly, but also for the fact that you can kind of fashion it if you find one way looks better than another. Now also with design, there's two things about the electrified fence. One I think is awesome and it's so simple. It's this sign. This sign really did a lot for it. I actually missed this when I initially assembled it. And it just really, again, brings you more back to the movie. But I think the miss is the lights. They should have made the lights light up with a blinking feature. I think that was such an easy thing they could have done, and it was such a miss. It would have really brought this movie piece to life even more. Another thing I think they could have done is if they wanted to somehow design it where he is halfway out of the fence. I think that would have taken it to the next level because that was kind of the big iconic moment of the movie. However, then you wouldn't see him in his full glory. So I think it necessarily wasn't a bad decision, but I would have preferred it where he's somewhat coming out of the fence. All right, let's measure this guy for you really quick. I think the tallest point it's right under 17 inches. And then the widest point is 13. So that displayability issue really isn't that bad. It's the length here, which I think probably measuring him from the front, I'm guessing he's 33 inches almost, a little bit under. Otherwise, from a design standpoint, everything fit really well. It wasn't a few different pieces. It's pretty ingenious how they did some of this. And this was the stuff I was worried about. I thought it would look cheap. I thought it would look bad. And you'll see in Paint and Sculpt it doesn't. So I think the design's a 4 out of 5. Really well done, Prime 1 Studios. I like the museum type base a lot more than I thought I would. It kind of makes it a museum piece. Now let's dive into the Paint and Sculpt. And again, there were some things I was really worried about. Some of those concerns were taken care of as I unboxed it, and some of them I still have a little bit. So let's look at the goat first, actually. I really like the base. The sculpt and paint on it is really nice, and I like the fact that it's different than the mud. It looks kind of like dried up and dead grass, and it's done really well, actually. And not that I study goats too closely, but the goat looks great, too. The sculpted in fur, the coloring on it, he's not super clean. I actually, with the mixed media chain, I actually like the goat a lot more than I thought I would. I still don't think it's an exclusive or bust by any means, as this only comes with the exclusive. And then looking at the base of the T-Rex, so first of all, the black museum base looks fine, black. We're not going to go into any detail. But look at all the fossils around it. I love the color they used. It looks like a great tribute. I mean, you can see different bones sculpted in. It kind of looks like they're sculpted into a wall, like rough dirt, some browns and blacks and tan colors in there. Looks fantastic. Here's a look at the nameplate, the silver. I like the fact that, you know, they really showcase that it is Jurassic Park. So that's more of a light silver you can easily see, where you can't see the Tyrannosaurus Rex as much. It's more of a dark gray. I want to look at the leaves first. I was really worried about how corny the leaves would look. This greenery in the back. It looks pretty good, honestly. Granted, it's not real, but you wouldn't want real leaves. It looks very good. I'm not a fan of some of the base below it, but you never see that. And some of this is slightly bendable, slightly sculptable, so you can somewhat put it in specific. So you can somewhat direct it a little bit, but it looks really good, especially behind the fence. Take a look at the bottom, the mud. The mud looks good. I think the areas where it's more wet looks even better, has that clear resin effect. It's just slight. Where it doesn't have that, it just looks okay. The footprint is awesome with the clear water effect in it, just like the movie. Again, it was another iconic part when it was shaking. They did a great job on that. The track looks okay. Nothing to write home about. It's clear what it is. The concrete barriers in the back look like real concrete. I think they did a really nice job with that. The poles, here's a few pictures here, are a little cheap looking. They have a little bit of a plastic feel, but not so much that you actually notice. And then let's jump around his skin. So I think they did a good job with the skin, not a great job. I think the paint job is done pretty well. The sculpt is very average. It doesn't look as dry or scaly as I would think it would be. Maybe it's a little more texture, maybe a little bit more darker color. I can't tell if it's the light colors of browns that do that or just kind of how smooth it is. You do see a lot of cracks and lines, but again, not very scaly. I think on certain areas like the underside, it shows that he has some battle wounds to him. I like that. Check out his tiny little arms. Always disappointed me how that's like, to me, the one part of the Tyrannosaur that doesn't make him as scary. And then let's look at his portrait. This is, one of the key features, but the way this piece is positioned, it is not the key feature. You can get by without it being amazing, but it's pretty damn good. So I like a lot of the things they did. It's much darker on the top, much lighter on the bottom. This has more of a scaly appearance, almost some bumps and some black spots around his mouth and his eyes. Where his gum line kind of opens, looks great. This more of a pink flesh tone. His eyes, they did a really nice job on his eyes. There was a lot of close-up shots of his eyes in the movie, and I don't know if this is accurate as far as color, but they look very real. So I think they did a nice job there. Check out around his snout. I think that's what you'd call a T-Rex nose. Take a look at the inside of his mouth. I think it's okay. I think this was a little bit of a miss, but I said, thankfully, this is not the main star of the show, where with a lot of T-Rex pieces, you would think that it would be. But the teeth look nice. I think they could have used a different type of coating on there or something to really make them pop. And I think they could have used a little bit more moist effect on the inside of the mouth, maybe around the tongue, to make it more vicious, almost like he's salivating. But otherwise, it looks okay. Maybe a few more pink tones in there. And honestly, I was most worried about the paint on this piece, but now that I have it in hand, I think the paint's really well done. I think it's a 4 out of 5. And what's interesting is a lot of times lighting makes all the difference in the world. And so many people will post 1 or 2 pictures of a piece in bad lighting or different types of lighting, and people absolutely flip out. That's why you guys have seen me do a lot of like my countdowns, and I won't judge pieces that I haven't seen in person. But I think the paint's a 4 out of 5. The sculpt, I think there's some really good things on it. The T-Rex, a lot of the skin, I think could have been done a little bit differently, but it's still very nice. I think it's a 3 out of 5 on the sculpt. Some areas on the surface of the mud I would have liked to seen done a little bit differently. I love the fossils in here though. So let's talk about value on this piece. They made 1,250 of them. 750 do not have the goat. 500 of these have the goat. They retailed at $850. I think there's a lot of good things with value. The displayability is really good for a Tyrannosaurus. It's not too big.
That's what she said.
It's part of a diorama almost, a movie diorama. Like I said, it's kind of a quintessential movie piece. There's no mistaking this is from Jurassic Park, even without the nameplate. And it's $850. I think that's a pretty darn good deal. I think the value is a 4 out of 5 on this piece. I think it's a high value for a great piece done by Prime 1 Studios. Can't wait to see a lot of the rest of the line. So does this piece have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5 statue overall? I don't think it is. It's not a grail by any means, but it is pretty damn cool. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 overall. I'm really digging on this piece. I can't wait to get the rest of the line. It really makes me want to watch Jurassic Park again. They did a great job overall, telling the story, matching it up with the movie. Like I said, great paint, very good sculpt. Very impressed by this piece. So before we close it out, we forgot to talk about the contests. First contest we have going on, make sure you've commented on this video. Every time you comment on a video, you get entered into a monthly drawing. We're still doing this giveaway as well. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification, and stay tuned for that giveaway. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate you. Make sure to check out some of these other Prime 1 Studios statues on this playlist, or hit that Mr. X logo to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, so you need to take care.